Hi class, I just wanted to go over an abbreviated version of what I typically do in a live class. So first thing we'll focus on is grammar, and this week you'll be reading chapters 24 and chapters 25, sentence elements and types of sentences. So there are two parts of a sentence, subject and a predicate. The subject of this sentence is who or what the sentence is about. So this sentence, the firefighter ran to the child. The firefighter is the subject. The predicate of the sentence is about the subject. It will always include a verb. So in this same sentence, ran to the child is the predicate. And ran is the verb, and that's part of the predicate. In a sentence, there's not always an object, but there can be an object, and oftentimes there is. And there are two types of objects, direct and indirect. Direct objects are what is affected by the verb in the sentence. They are usually identified by asking whom or what after the verb. So in the sentence, the player tossed the ball is the object. Tossed is the verb, so tossed what? The ball. Indirect objects are the person or things affected by the direct object. They are usually identified by asking to whom, to what, for whom, or for what after the verb. So in this sentence, Paul lost his wallet at the fair. His wallet is the direct object. At the fair is the indirect object. Then this chapter focuses on transitive versus intransitive verbs. Transitive verbs are those that have an object, intransitive verbs don't. So this first sentence is an example of a transitive verb. The second one is intransitive. Subject complements provide more information about the subject. So the train is traveling fast. So you first need to identify the parts of the sentence. So we know that the subject of the sentence is the train. Fast is giving more information about the train. There is no object, so it can only be a subject complement. Object complements provide more information about the object. So in this sentence, the butcher carved the meat into two. The butcher is the subject, carved is the verb, and the meat is the object. So the object complement is into two because it's giving more information about the meat, which is the object. Clauses, there are two different types of clauses, dependent and independent. Dependent clauses are a group of words that contain a subject and a verb, but it's not a complete thought. So if I said to you, when we leave, you would think, yeah, continue. It's not a complete thought. It's a dependent clause. It relies on an independent clause to express a complete thought. Independent clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb but expresses a complete thought. When we leave, the house will be empty. So the house will be empty is an independent clause. And now this is a complete thought because we have a dependent clause linked to a independent clause. Then there's active and passive voice. I'm not too concerned about active and passive voice. You can take a look at your textbook about active and passive voice. I'm just going to skip over that. And that's it. That is chapter 24. Chapter 25. Nope, I already have it downloaded. Talks about the types of sentences. Okay, so sentences can be divided into three major types, depending on structure: simple, compound, and complex. So simple sentences has one independent clause, something like school is important. Compound sentences have two independent clauses. School is important, it is fun. They're two independent clauses. Important to note there are two ways to create a compound sentence. Coordinating conjunction, so you can remember those by the acronym FANBOYS, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And before a coordinated conjunction, you should have a comma. A conjunctive adverb, or a semicolon. So the slide before that shows you the three different examples of how to bring together two independent clauses in a compound sentence. Then we have a complex sentence. It's a dependent clause joined with an independent clause. So this is an example of a complex sentence. While I enjoy pizza, I hate spaghetti. So we have the independent clause and the dependent clause. Why is it important to know there are different types of sentence structures? It's because in your writing you should strive to vary your sentence structures. Your essay shouldn't be full of simple sentences. Then sentences can be divided based on their purpose. Declarative sentences, exclamatory, imperative, and interrogative. So declarative sentences declare something or make a statement. So these are all examples of declarative sentences. Exclamatory sentences are typically followed by an exclamation point. Imperative sentences express a command: study hard, cut the grass. Interrogative sentences ask a question, so I should see a question mark after those. And that is chapter 25 in a nutshell. So your next required essay is your process essay. So your process essay is going to be basically a how-to do something. And I've attached a sample in the doc sharing. There's actually a few samples. So if you go to doc sharing, you'll see a sample process essay. Actually, I have to post one, but there is one here, and then there is another one. This is the process essay description. Okay, let's see. So try to break your process down into 3 major steps. So I often give my students the example of how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I encourage you again to use the 4-square organizer. I didn't see many people use it previously, so I encourage you to use it. And so in the middle box you would write your topic, how to make a PB&J. So maybe your first step is to gather your supplies. Your second step is to make the sandwich. And your third step is to clean up. And then, of course, you would wrap up in the conclusion and restate your thesis. Remember that in your introduction, you should have your thesis, and your thesis should contain your 3 main steps. It is a very easy process to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You can follow these 3 simple steps: gathering your supplies, make the sandwich, and clean up. So that would be a sample thesis statement. Details about gathering your supplies, so maybe get a knife, maybe actually select your PB&J, get a plate, making the sandwich, spread PB&J, Get the let's see. Put it together. Cut in half. Okay, and then clean up. Put the dishes, wipe counter. Put dishes in sink. And so now you have a nice outline for the process of how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So in your first body paragraph, you'll talk about gathering your supplies. Second body paragraph, making the sandwich. Third body paragraph, cleaning it up. Okay. So again, your process essay must be related to your current career or your future career. So I have one student in my one class that is writing her essay on how to wait tables effectively. Okay, remember there's 5 steps to the writing process: pre-writing, planning, drafting, revising, and proofreading. So in the next few days you're going to be pre-writing, brainstorming, thinking about your ideas. Then you're going to be planning, you're going to complete an outline. So 4 square is what you want to complete, and then you'll get into the drafting phase. If you do come to class next week live, please bring 2 copies of your rough draft to class, and you can exchange them with your peers, get their feedback. I will provide feedback to you as well. Okay, that's it. Please let me know if you have any questions about the grammar or the composition piece in week 2. Have a good week.